Good morning, everybody. This morning I'm actually only going to cover one email that I've received because I feel it's going to take 10 minutes when I talk about all of the issues to do with this email, because the email is about a fund that has units in a pre-99 unit trust, and the auditor has just discovered that there's an issue in that the trust, the property owned by the trust, one of the members of the fund has used that property as security for one of their own loans. So the question is, how does that impact on the SMSF? And it has different impacts depending on the situation in the SMSF. So we'll cover that question and only that question today. Okay, so the email, hi Peter, a question has come up in one of our SMSF audits. The SMSF holds about 19% of the units in a related unit trust. The unit trust owns a commercial property which is leased to a related company, so no problem so far. There were no borrowings in the unit trust according to its balance sheet. We'll assume that's correct. I understand that the unit trust was set up pre-1999. The net market value of the unit trust is about $4.2 million. It has come to light that the commercial property has been used to secure a loan outside of the unit trust since 1993. The loan is $1.5 million. Presumably the loan is from a bank to the other non-SMSF unit holders for the purposes of their investments in the unit trust. All of the other SMSF assets are just normal, uncomplicated investments. The total fund value is about $4 million, including the unit trust. Do we have an issue here? I know that a super fund cannot offer its own assets as security, but can the unit trust, being once removed, would this arrangement be protected under the pre-1999 unit trust rules? So I'll go through the question and we'll look at each part of the question individually. So the super fund holds 19% of the units in a related unit trust. So at least 31% of the other units are held by related parties, most likely the members of the super fund. So it might be that I own 19% of the, my super fund owns 19% of the unit trust, and I personally own the other 81%. That's just the way I wanted to do it. The super fund's using cash. There was no borrowings, but I've borrowed to buy my units, so I'm negative gearing my units, which makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So the unit trust owns a commercial property which is leased to a related company. So again, it would be my company leasing the property off this unit trust. No borrowings in the unit trust. Again, that's fine. The unit trust itself was set up pre-99. The net market value is about 4.2 million. A lot of people misunderstand pre-99 unit trusts because they think it's the trust is a pre-99 unit trust and therefore the trust itself is protected. It's actually not the trust that's relevant, it's the units. So we have to look at pre-1999 units, not necessarily a pre-1999 unit trust. I have units in a pre-1999 unit trust in one of my super funds. If I was to sell those units to another super fund, they would have units in a pre-1999 unit trust, but they bought them in 2018. So they're no longer pre-1999 units. So none of it would be relevant being the pre-99 status of the unit trust. It's all to do with the units. So that's what we need to move towards once we're looking at the circumstances here. Now it's come to light that the property's been used to secure the loan. So I've borrowed money to buy units in this unit trust and I didn't have any equity in any properties, so I actually gave the property in the super fund or in the unit trust as security to the bank. And the bank's quite happy with that. The loan is 1.5 million and we've assumed it's from a bank to the unit holder. So we now look at that. So what we now understand is that one of the assets of the unit trust, or the unit trust itself, has provided its assets to be used as security. So we know that that's not allowed to happen for post-1999 units, and we know that this has happened. So all of the other SMSF assets are just normal. The total fund value is about 4 million. You don't want this fund becoming non-compliant. Do we have an issue here? Now, I can't answer whether we have an issue there or not without looking at a unit register for the units issued in that unit trust. So what we can see now is that this is an investment in a related unit trust. So we go to section 71 and it says that an investment in a related unit trust is an in-house asset and it's limited to 5% of the assets of the fund. Now in section 70 we have some exemptions to this in-house asset requirement. So what we know is that units that were owned as at budget night 1999, they will never be an in-house asset. And that doesn't matter whether this unit trust has offered security or not. So that's okay. Any assets, any units acquired in this unit trust from 1999 to 2009, where either an election was made for the amount of loans that you had outstanding, or where you just reinvested the income of the trust up until 30 June 2009, those units will never be an in-house asset either. So, but any units issued after 30 June 2009, where the unit trust itself isn't exempt from the in-house asset provisions in Regulation 1322, then those units are an in-house asset. So it's important to remember that we don't look at the trust. And whenever you've got a trust, a unit trust that was established before 1999 and a super fund invests in that unit trust, you must have a detailed unit register. And you've got to know when each unit was issued, because you might be looking at a situation where post 30 June 1999, the trust still has borrowings, for example, or in this case, the trust has provided its assets to be used as security on a loan, which it isn't allowed to do. So it means any units issued after 30 June 2009 are an in-house asset. Any issued between 1999 and 2009 may be an in-house asset or may not be an in-house asset. So you would need to look at those and work out which ones are and which ones aren't. And any pre-May 1999 units will not actually be an in-house asset, and that's fine. Now we've got another date to look at here, and this date is the 30th of June 2000, because if a unit trust increased its borrowings after the 30th of June 2000, then any new units acquired in that trust after 30 June 2009, even if that trust has paid back all its borrowings, then they will always be considered a in-house asset. So this is when Regulation 13.22 came in, and on 30 June 2000, and so the trust could not increase its borrowings after that. In this case, it looks like there's no borrowings, but we sort of need to know whether or not borrowings were increased after 28 June 2000. And if they were, then any new units are an in-house asset. In this case, if units were issued after 30 June 2009, then those units will be an in-house asset because of the fact they've offered the property up as security. So you've now got to value the post 30 June 2009 units and see what those units are as a percentage of the whole fund. Now we know the fund here is worth $4 million. So 5% of that is $200,000. So they can issue units in this trust after 30 June 2009 up to $200,000 in value. And that would be within the in-house assets limit, and we'd be fine. If they were over $200,000, then the acquisition of those units, when you buy units that takes you over the 5%, that is a breach. It's also a requirement that you sell those assets in the following financial year. So they would need to sell them down as well. I did speak to this advisor and he said, well, there's no post 2009 units in the fund, so therefore we don't have an issue in that sense that we're okay. But just for you to understand, post 2009, they're an in-house asset. Another mistake I see a lot of accountants make is they issue all the units from 1999 to 2017 at $1. So they just issue them all at $1. However, if you were to issue them at market value, which by the way is a requirement, but if you were to issue them at market value, your post-2009 units would be issued at a higher price, and therefore you would be issuing a lot less of them, which means you would have less units over the 5% in-house assets limit. So it's really important also to make sure when you're dealing with pre-99 unit trust that you always issue the units at market value. So get the 2010 units at $3 compared to the 98 units at $1. So you're only issuing a third of the number. So the percentage of post-99 units will drop, which is important. Another question, the next question that was asked in this email, I know that a super fund cannot offer its own assets as security, but can the unit trust being once removed? Now, the unit trust can offer its assets as security. However, that then means that the unit trust breaches the requirements of regulation 13.22D. So that would then mean that the investment in the unit trust is no longer exempt from being an in-house asset, so it makes the unit trust an in-house asset. So regulation 13.22 talks about ungeared unit trusts, and many accountants think they just ungeared and we're fine. But regulation 13.22 talks about all the things that a unit trust can't do if you want to be able to invest in it and it not be an in-house asset. Those things include the trust can't borrow. So we all know that the unit trust can't borrow. It also can't enter into a lease with a related party unless that lease is for business real property. The unit trust can't own investments in any other entity. So the unit trust can't own shares. And I've seen a number of accountants get caught out where they didn't realize that the unit trust couldn't own shares, and suddenly we've got an in-house asset. It becomes a problem. You can't own shares in a related unit trust. The unit trust can't deal with any party other than on an arm's length basis. So you may well be dealing with a related party and you do so not on an arm's length basis, and now you breach as well. The unit trust can't run a business. So if it may well be ungeared, it buys a building with a business as part of that and runs the business. So again, you're breaching the requirements of Reg 13.22. If you think about a related unit trust, in your own head, just think that that related unit trust can own real estate and can have cash. That's all it can do. Always just think about that and understand that. It's not just about whether or not it can be geared. I think that's an area for accountants to do a lot more training on, is pre-1999 unit trusts. If you have a pre-1999 unit trust, just give us a call and let me review it for you. Because the ones I review, I find that there's a lot of non-compliance in them. And we've seen a few get caught with tax audits where the accountant hasn't done the right thing. They've submitted the documents to the tax office only to find out that the client's breached, and we could have sorted it out easily by doing the units at market value rather than doing them at $1. So think about if you've got any pre-1999 unit trusts, and if you do, just drop me a line. If you'd like to see more of our SMSF technical videos, join us by subscribing to our weekly Advisors Digest series at advisorsdigest.com.au. Here we share exclusive technical information with our subscribers that we don't share anywhere else. You will also get exclusive invites to our CPD training and other events that are held specifically for accountants, usually around the SMSF space. If you currently provide SMSF advice, or you're thinking of providing SMSF advice in the future, find out how we can help you grow your SMSF client by joining our Limited Australian Financial Services license. Give us a call on 1-800-MY-SMSF. That's 1-800-697-673.